categories of warning emotions. There are two types of human emotions. We call them emotions of pleasure and emotions of warning. Notice I did not say they're positive and negative emotions. Most people like to call them that, but that's really not what you want to call them. Emotions are neither positive nor negative. They are neutral indicators of the state of our being. Our emotions will either indicate different types of pleasure we are experiencing, or they will warn us that something is happening to us which needs immediate or ongoing attention. Now, although we don't want to call them positive or negative, they can have a positive or negative effect upon our person, on all three parts of our being. Now, just like there are three categories of pleasure emotions, there are also three categories of emotions of warning. These warning emotions categories are the exact opposite of the three categories of pleasure. The opposite of love is anger. The opposite of joy is sadness. The opposite of peace is fear. Emotions of warning: anger, sadness, and fear. Now, just like the emotions of pleasure, all of the emotions of warning will fit into one of these three categories. So we're going to try to read those as well, starting with anger: abominable, aggravation, aggressive, agitation, annoyance, appalled, bad, bitterness, boiling, cold, contempt, cross, deprived, despicable, detestable, disgust, dislike, dissatisfaction, enraged, envy, exasperation, ferocity, forced, frustration, fuming, fury, grouchiness, grumpiness — none of us ever get that way — hate, hostility, incensed, indifferent, indignant, inflamed, infuriated, insensitive, insulting, irritation, jealousy, loathing, miserable, offended, offensive, outraged, provocative, provoked, rage, rebellious, repugnant, and resentment, revulsion, scorn, spite, stupefied, terrible, unpleasant, upset, vengefulness, worked up, wrath, wronged. Now, under sadness: aching, agony, bored, defeat, dejected, depression, desolate, despair, diminishment, disappointment, discouragement, disillusionment, disinterest, dismay, displeasure, dull, empty, fatigued, gloom, glumness, grief, heartbroken, helpless, hopelessness, despair, incapable, lifeless, loss, melancholy, misery, mournful, neutral, nonchalant, pathetic, rejected, sorrow, sulky, tearful, unhappiness, useless, and woeful. Now, one more category, the fear category: afflicted, afraid, alarmed, alienated, alone, anguish, anxiety, apprehension, ashamed, challenged, closed, concerned, confused, cowardly, crushed, dejection, desperate, dismayed, distress, distrust, domination, doubt, dread, embarrassment, fright, guilt, hesitant, homesickness, horror, humiliated, hurt, hysteria, in a stew, indecisive, inferior, injured, insecurity, insult, isolation, loneliness, lost, menaced, menacing, misgiving, mortification, neglection, nervousness, pain, panic, and paralyzed, perplexed, pessimistic, powerless, preoccupied, quaking, regret, remorse, reserved, restless, scared, shaky, shame, shock, shy, skeptical, snoopy, suffering, suspicious, tenseness, and terrified, threatened, timid, tormented, tortured, tragic, unbelieving, uncertain, uneasiness, unsure, victimized, vulnerable, wary, and worried.